let's start with automation. No question that automation is going to have a grave impact on jobs across sectors, but in the finance industry in particular, what do you see?
Well, there are a couple things. First of all, we've already seen the robo-advisors. I mean, firms like Betterment and Wealthfront are already managing lots of accounts, and they're making financial management accessible to a large group of consumers who historically wouldn't have been able to afford it. Now, we're going to see automation go into other parts of the finance world, and some of it is expertise automation and augmentation. It's taking jobs where a lot of judgment has been applied in the past and providing tools to help those people. And it is natural that a lot of these jobs that whether it's bond trading or sales, those are jobs that, yes, there's a lot of routine tasks that involve with them, and artificial intelligence over time should be able to replace parts of those jobs.
So what about other sectors, whether it's retail, whether it's manufacturing? Where will we see the biggest impact of automation?
I think we're going to see it in those jobs that require a great deal of expertise, but that expertise can be managed in other ways. So a great example of this is in the legal profession, where lawyers are performing tasks. They have to go through documents. They have to find certain things. Using sort of natural language search, being able to have artificial intelligence that can highlight and translate those into law, that's going to be very important.
And could AI and automation also take jobs in technology itself? I mean, when you think about, the stuff that Facebook's doing with ads, the curating of content, the flagging and filtering of content, some of that is done by humans today, but the goal is to have that automated.
Well, some of it's done by humans, but also what will make artificial intelligence more intelligent is going to be some sort of crowdsourcing of actual human actions versus just machine learning. But yes, a lot of the tasks in computing, yes, they will be done automatically. So some of the most basic programming, a lot of those things that just a couple years ago would have required expertise, that expertise is now really can be done by computing.
Now, something else you've predicted is that of the big giants, Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, they will increasingly compete on the same turf. Where do you see the biggest showdown, if you will, in 2018?
Well, of course, one of the places is AI. And they're all what they're most concerned about. So we hear a lot about smart speakers, and every one of these companies has launched a smart speaker, everybody but Facebook, and it's rumored. And every one of them has a digital assistant, whether it's Alexa, Google Assist, Siri, Cortana. And why are they so focused on this? Because they want to own that front end between AI and the user. So they're going to be competing in a lot of ways. They view owning that front end as part of their manifest destiny, because it's the control to their core business, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's search, whether it's media, whether it's social and communications. So that's a place we're going to see them compete, and it's going to be ferocious competition. At the same time, all of the Asian companies are going to be doing the same. So we've got Tencent and Alibaba and Line. They're all going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be launching launching artificial intelligence, digital assistants, and it'll first be delivered through a speaker, and then later on through every other consumer electronics product.
So let's start with the speaker. Apple, Google, Amazon all have one. Do you see all of them maintaining a foothold in this area, or do you see one or two dominating the market?
We believe that the smart speaker market will peak within 2 years. And that part of the reason for that is that those digital assistants will be built into every other device, whether it's your car or your toaster or your Nespresso machine. There are also a lot of devices that are going to be able to use more than one. So Sonos is coming out with a speaker that uses Alexa today, but in the future can use both Cortana and Google Assist.
So then when it comes to the actual assistants themselves, I have the same question. Do you see one becoming predominant, it being tied to the operating system or the smartphone that you're using, or that multiple assistants can survive?
I think multiple assistants can survive, and I think that at each one of these companies, so we have two standards today in mobile operating systems. There's nothing that will stop there from being four standards in digital assistants, especially if people are going to be able to, there's some cross-platform portability.
There's huge discussion now about the power and the responsibility of these platforms. As you know, Facebook, Google, and Twitter are going to be speaking before Congress on November 1st, talking about Russian meddling on their platforms. Do you see the reputation of these platforms being tarnished by this, or is this just a bump in the road?
I think that what's come out already is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they're trying to minimize the impact by talking about $100,000, very small ad campaign. But in a lot of ways, what's been driving fake news is fake friends. And so far, and those are the piece of this which have not come out yet. And yes, that will have a huge impact on their reputation.
What do you mean by fake friends?
Well, in every one of these sites, there's either bots or people who are posing, and some of this has already come out, that there have been organizations that really were ultimately fake, that they were either by Americans who didn't realize they were working for Russians, or they were fake accounts that were managed by other people.
Do you think it's a large or a significant portion of accounts? Do you think it's a significant problem?
I think it's a massive problem. And I think that it's a massive problem because in Twitter, I mean, if you look at people's accounts, there's lots of bots. When you look on Facebook, anybody goes through, you've got a lot of friends. How many of them are people? You ultimately will find people you really don't know. And there's been a long time, and this is part of the whole problems, not just in terms of social, but in terms of advertising fraud and other things that are plaguing these industries. I think it'll hurt their reputations in the near term. Longer term, I think they'll clean it up.